Well, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Golden Futures channel. In the midst of a commodity renaissance, acquiring and advancing precious metal projects up in Canada, forefronting this industry with us today, Chief Executive Officer Stephen Wilkinson. Welcome, sir.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Pleasure to have you, and Happy New Year's, man. So we got lots we're going to break down. You guys are on the forefront of literally probably one of the most exciting gold projects up here in Canada, but I want to roll back the clock a little bit because, I mean, you got more than 40 years working within resource companies. You got a Master of Science degree, an MBA. I mean, what kind of experience in history had to happen to lead you up to Golden Futures? Just break that down a little bit for us.
Oh, my pleasure. It's interesting, as you were saying that, it dawned on me that being 2022, it was exactly 50 years ago that I took on my first job in the mining industry. After a short stint in the armed forces, ended up working for Bethlehem Copper Corporation here out in the West Coast. And they really got me sold on and married to mining and geology at the time. And I returned to home territory in Ontario and got my first degree at the University of West Ontario. And following that, I've literally had a stepladder career. I'm really quite pleased with it, with how it developed. Went from into academia, working for the provincial government. I was a resource geologist with the provincial government. Then went off on my own, created my first company in 1985, and merged that with a public company to get my first experience in the markets, capital markets. We operated, interestingly enough, in Beardmore, the Northern Empire property mill. It was my job to rebuild it, feed it, and operate it, and it did so until the early 90s, when the price of gold, which was stumbling around at about $300 an ounce at the time, was about $50 an ounce short of what we needed to break even. So a technical success, but it was the time. That was the point at which I started working for boutique firms out of London, England, doing research for them as a fundamental analyst, traveling to sites, investigating other properties. Really fell in love with it, and that's why I got an MBA in 1995. Ended up working with RBC Dominion Securities in Toronto, and they moved me here to Vancouver, and I was left them on the first year of the new millennium, and jumped back into public markets. Worked for a little company called Northern Orion. Myself and the team that was there took it for a 3-penny stock, and eventually sold it for $800 million. With properties in Argentina. Moved along to a couple of other iterations. Valgold built that company up from basically a muskeg explorer in northern Manitoba into an international gold exploration company, and it was bought up by Metalla ultimately. And then more recently, working with Blue Star Gold, assembled its core properties over a 5-year period. It was quite a difficult one to do in the marketplace, but it ended up having a $1 billion asset in it when I left there 2 years ago. And now I was actually fully contemplating on getting out the fishing rod, learning how to play golf, when I got a call from the folks at Golden Futures, and they asked me if I'd come along and help them move their company from its starting stages up to where we are right now. And that was the end of March last year. I started with the Golden Futures, and so that's basically my background. It's I say I've got more than 40 years worth of experience, because even though I started 50 years ago, I did tuck in three university degrees into that same time period.
It lives in your blood. Definitely lives in your blood, man. So kind of building the team out around you. I mean, do you want to just briefly touch on some of the experience and the team forefronting this with you, whether Vicky, Matthew, Walter, Mike? There's a lot of different guys on the board of directors here. Just any highlights you just want to offer about them?
Well, I think for the board, it's really easy to say that we've got a diversified board that touches on pretty well the most important areas of a junior exploration company. I'm the CEO. I've kept myself separate from the board for good governance, but our CFO is on the board Vicky, she's been around the industry quite a while, quite an experienced lady. She operates out of Toronto. Matt Fish is a what I would call a senior lawyer with, but he has run junior companies. In fact, he was an interim president of Golden Futures in one of its earlier iterations. And then Walter got Walter Hatch, and Walter and I interface almost every day. Walter's our lead geologist and director, and he's like me. He's been in the industry more than 40 years. He got his PGO. He's working also with Signature Resources, and they, and he's helping them to advance that property from sort of small resource upwards. And so we've got sort of the ideal team here, based with finance. We have technical and we have legal, all at the top, which is what we really need to have. Under Walter and myself, we've engaged a group out of Sudbury by the name of JJ Minerals, two very well recognized PhD geologists that have worked quite hard for a year now, going through terabytes of information and rebuilding the database that we inherited from Argonaut for the Hercules property, and developing some concepts to base the exploration work on. And now what Walter and I have been doing is really moving the drill to places where we think we're going to be able to demonstrate some of the theories that JJ's been coming up with. And it's been we have been drilling since mid-December. We took a couple of weeks off for Christmas, and we started again on the 9th of January. I think we're now on hole 7 of the program, and we're very encouraged by the visual results of what we got, and are looking forward to getting some assays back, and to see if some of our concepts are correct, because this drilling will lead us into more targeted drilling, both on the main Hercules zone, which is called the Golden Mile, and into the other 12 or so vein systems that surround it within the host rock. So yeah. It's good. It's a very neat time for an old geologist to be involved with re-identifying something that has a known resource, very high grade resource, but looking at it in the sense of what is really there in its totality. There's more than just one vein. We know that. And we know that there's a lot of gold in the host rocks. So can we prove up a multi-million ouncer? And I believe we can.
Yeah, it's kind of incredible. You guys are literally right on the forefront of these results coming out, which is going to be pretty incredible for the audience listening to this. But I want to roll back a little bit. You did kind of give us some insights into the Hercules project, some of the stuff going on within these properties here. But can you zoom out a little bit? Kind of just tell us exactly, where is this property located? Just any kind of the mission statement around it, a little bit of the history with that project. Just give us a quick introduction. And then when we come back, we're just going to deep dive down into a lot of the stuff that you're kind of expanding on. But just kind of give us a quick insight into this property's location and what's going on with it.
Absolutely. This is it's a what's old is new again type of property. In 1985, when I first started working in that camp, I actually was on the Hercules property. It was being explored by a number of different people, and by no coincidence, I guess, I was intrigued because one of the zones there is the Wilkinson Lake Zone. That the people were working on very early days of the property, and so we're talking here, easily 40 years ago. But the real discovery didn't happen until 2006, and when the Kodiak group were following up a little bit on extensions of that Wilkinson Lake area, and came across incredibly high grade zones of in the Golden Mile. And of course, they call it the Golden Mile because they had it trenched out for 1.6 kilometers, or hey, a mile. And within those trench results, they were getting upwards of 10,000 grams per ton gold in grab samples. I mean, it's easier to say it was 3 or 4% gold in the sample, rather crazy. But people lose the concept. So. But within that same area, they were getting 11 to 11.5 meters widths of 32 grams per ton. And in fact, if you look at the core area, and of course they did drill well the core area, the resource that was being developed just of indicated was about 100,000 ounces at 18 grams per ton. That's more than half ounces, but it's almost 0.6.
Yeah.
And you're looking, and that's outstanding. I mean, that's got to be in the top 2 to 5 percentile of world gold deposits in terms of grade. And certainly some of those hand specimens are absolutely museum specimens, that they've had. Our team, and so what was done, starting in 2006, running through to 2010, 5 field seasons, $25 million was spent by Kodiak exploring and drilling, trenching, and expanding this area around the Golden Mile. And the problem was that their intense drilling program that they had there ended up producing an overall resource of about 220,000 ounces at 14 grams per ton. That's not bad. Yeah. But the problem was, in those days, the markets were not very happy. If we remember 2008, basically pulled the carpet out from underneath all of us. In fact, I remember thinking in 2007, maybe I could retire soon. It didn't happen. But at the end of 2010, with this little nice tidy resource in hand, you've got a disappointed market. Yeah. At the time, you needed 1 million ounces. Well, there's very few real 1 million ounce deposits that we're building right now, other than some of these low grade things. So that the property sort of drifted off and ended up being held by Argonaut. And of course, right now, if anyone's following the news, Argonaut is trying to build out the Magino mine, and right in the middle of a pandemic, and their costs are going through the roof, unfortunately for them. So that was our opportunity. And when we signed the option agreement for this property, we can earn up to 90% of this property from Argonaut. And I believe ultimately we can have 100% subject to a royalty that goes back to Argonaut. So this is a great place for a junior company to be starting from, and knowing we've got high grade. Now, key points here. Yes, there's a small resource, but it's confined to 40 claims within a 400 claim property. In other words, it's about somewhere between 5 and 10% of the property only has truly been explored. And yet there are showings indicating to me, plus with geophysics, that we could possibly replicate this 40 claim area that's got the gold mineralization 3 or 4 times over.
Yeah.
So and I know that we're going to be adding ounces to the original discovery, but boy, when we start digging in and finding, and tracking down more of these gold anomalies that we've got, the vein anomalies or the geophysical anomalies, then what I think we'll have the tiger by the tail.
So that's I don't think it gets better than that. Lots of blue skies, man. I can't wait to continue breaking this down. I really appreciate coming out today, Stephen.
Yeah, well, you can look forward to a number of updates. We do have our first round of drilling that we did 4 holes before Christmas and submitted those 108, I believe, samples for assay and in Geraldton at the ACLAB facility. We had gold spot discoveries. The people that have earned their sort of tooth cutting days in newfound gold in Newfoundland. The gold spot has flown their mag survey over the property, and I'm expecting in the next few days to get the preliminary results and then the final report back from them. That will then go into the hands of our modeling that we've been redoing for a year now. And my gut, as looking back on the years of doing exploration in a number of properties, I believe we'll have at least one other major area for exploration, if not 3 to 4. It's going to be a busy year. So I won't be getting out my fishing rod or my golf clubs well for a little while yet.
I'm sure the investors would love to hear that. So on that note, if you guys ever have any questions, let us know what you think in that comment section below. Consider subscribing for those updates as they come down the wire here. But when we come back, we're going to be breaking down the exact project here, a lot more about what Stephen is talking about, and we're going to expand on the balance sheet, capital structure, all that spending and everything else in between to give you guys the clearest picture possible about this opportunity that's in front of us. So stay cool, stay awesome, and I look forward to catching you in the next one.